Beware EV enthusiasts. A new contender is on the horizon. Tesla's stock is going down, and GM has just unveiled an innovative zero-emission engine that could render both electric and internal combustion vehicles obsolete. This groundbreaking technology is being hailed as the next major shift in the automotive industry, potentially driving us toward a fully eco-friendly future of transportation. As GM's CEO introduces this revolutionary engine, it's time to dive into what could be a game-changing moment for cars. So what exactly is this new technology? After years of exploring alternatives to EVs, GM's search has culminated in the development of compressed air technology. Though compressed air engines had limited success in the 19th century, powering mine locomotives and trams in select European cities like Paris, they were eventually overshadowed by internal combustion engines due to their superior power. However, in the early 2010s, Peugeot revisited this concept, combining compressed air with internal combustion to create a hybrid engine. This design maintained the environmental benefits of a typical hybrid without the need for a battery. While Peugeot's prototypes didn't progress far beyond testing, they did catch the eye of the automotive industry, especially GM. Recognizing the potential of compressed air technology, GM understood that significant development would be required to make it competitive with both traditional engines and the growing EV market. Consequently, GM has been quietly advancing compressed air technology alongside its work on EVs and internal combustion vehicles. With that in mind, it's time to address a practical question. How do compressed air vehicles actually work? Unlike traditional engines or EVs, compressed air vehicles operate using pneumatic engines, often referred to as compressed air engines. These engines share a mechanical similarity to conventional internal combustion engines, but differ significantly in how they function. In a pneumatic engine, pistons are used just as they are in petrol engines. However, instead of relying on combustion to drive piston movement, these engines utilize pressurized air. The air is introduced into the chamber, increasing pressure and pushing the piston to its maximum extension. Once the air is released, a spring attached to the piston pulls it back, completing the cycle. This process eliminates the need for explosions to generate motion, as seen in traditional engines. From a design perspective, compressed air engines are quite similar to internal combustion engines, which allows manufacturers to incorporate existing technical solutions and reduce development time. One reason GM has been attracted to this technology. Now, let's explore the key question. What are the advantages of compressed air engines compared to EVs and internal combustion vehicles? The most significant benefit is that compressed air engines are entirely pollution-free. Since they only use pressurized air, they generate no harmful emissions, making them environmentally friendly. This solves one of the biggest issues with traditional combustion engines: direct pollution. Compressed air engines also offer an edge over EVs, as they are far cheaper to produce and don't require rare earth materials, unlike batteries or electric motors. Additionally, while EVs are considered green, they still rely on electricity grids that are primarily powered by fossil fuels, which undermines their environmental impact. Another significant advantage of compressed air engines over internal combustion engines is their lower production cost. Since these engines operate under much lower pressures compared to gasoline or diesel engines, they don't require strong, hardened steel or heavy metals for construction. This makes manufacturing them more cost-effective and environmentally friendly, especially when produced at scale. Although the cost difference may not be as pronounced when compared to electric vehicles, it still exists. Moreover, the operating costs of compressed air engines are unmatched. Compressed air is far cheaper than fuel or electricity and is also easier to source. Another future-proof aspect of these engines is their zero waste. They simply use pressurized air, which remains unchanged after exiting the engine chamber. However, despite their potential, compressed air engines come with some limitations that have hindered their widespread development and adoption. One major drawback is their lack of power. Compressed air has a very low energy density, making these engines significantly underpowered. Additionally, because the components are light and don't generate high pressure, the torque output is very weak, limiting their practicality for everyday use. Another issue is that these engines need to run at high RPMs, which leads to rapid wear and tear on mechanical components. Unlike internal combustion engines, they don't use liquid fuel, making it difficult to introduce lubricants, further contributing to component wear. However, the biggest challenge is their inefficiency. Although compressed air is inexpensive, efficiency still matters. Most prototype vehicles powered by compressed air have a limited range, around 140 kilometers or less than 100 miles. This means frequent refueling, and they aren't suitable for long trips. Finally, there are safety concerns. Many prototypes used standard steel tanks to store the compressed air, which added weight to the already underpowered vehicle and created a risk of explosion if the tanks were damaged. Essentially, drivers would be sitting on a container of highly pressurized gas. That said, GM has been working diligently to overcome the major challenges of compressed air technology, and they've made significant progress. First, the issue of low power has been addressed with the development of new high-pressure air tanks. These tanks compress the air even further, resulting in higher cylinder pressure. As a result, GM's latest compressed air prototype now delivers performance levels comparable to standard gasoline engines. While the torque is still not quite on par, the engines are now powerful enough for typical commuter vehicles. Additionally, GM has also extended the vehicle's range. They achieved this by turning the vehicle's chassis into a large compressed air reservoir. However, this requires designing the car specifically for compressed air engines, incorporating structural reinforcements, or even using advanced composite materials like fiber-reinforced thermoplastics. This approach helps maintain the vehicle's lightweight structure while making it much safer than traditional high-pressure tanks. In the event of a crash, a ruptured reservoir wouldn't cause an explosion. So, when can we expect to see this technology in use? The answer is complicated, but there's a strong chance that these engines could enter mass production in the coming years. GM is deeply committed to making this technology a reality, continually developing solutions to existing problems. Their dedication to creating a revolutionary product could transform the automotive industry. Additionally, the engine's mechanical similarity to internal combustion engines enables faster development compared to building a new design from scratch. That said, it's important to recognize that GM's motives aren't purely altruistic. They are well aware that internal combustion engines are nearing the end of their life cycle, and GM hasn't yet established a strong presence in the EV market. As a result, they are looking to carve out a new market for vehicles that could outpace both internal combustion and electric vehicles, positioning themselves as a leader in the next era of automotive innovation. However, while this sounds promising, GM isn't the first automaker to explore compressed air technology. As mentioned earlier, Peugeot introduced a hybrid version of their Peugeot 2008 crossover about a decade ago. Instead of electric power, this model combined an internal combustion engine with compressed air. The result was an innovative powertrain that offered the performance and torque of a combustion engine with the environmental benefits of compressed air. This hybrid achieved an impressive 120 miles per gallon. Unfortunately, Peugeot quietly abandoned the project despite its early success, without much explanation other than claiming it wasn't profitable. An odd justification. So why did Peugeot walk away? While no clear reasons were given, some speculate that it might have been due to pressure from large oil companies, as widespread adoption of such technology could threaten their dominance. This may sound far-fetched, but there's precedent. In the mid-1990s, Stanley Allen Meyer developed a water fuel cell that could potentially power a car using water alone. After going public with his invention, Meyer faced relentless pressure from oil companies to abandon his work and declare the invention a hoax. Meyer resisted, seeking funding to continue developing his water-powered engine. On March 20th, 1998, Meyer and his brother met with two Belgian investors for dinner. During the meal, Meyer suddenly ran from the restaurant, claiming he had been poisoned. He collapsed and died minutes later, with his brother by his side. Even the stranger, shortly after his death, both the vehicle he was working on and the prototypes of the water fuel cell mysteriously disappeared from his home garage. While this could be seen as an unfortunate series of events, it seems more plausible that oil companies, driven by greed, would go to great lengths to protect their profits, even at the expense of environmentally friendly innovations. So GM, if you're reading this, proceed with caution. Keep developing your compressed air engine in complete secrecy, or it may face the same fate as Peugeot's hybrid, or worse, that of Stanley Allen Meyer.